Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. And as we are closing out 2025, Austin, we look towards 2026, where we could have a new NBA team announced. Not a new NBA team, but announced.
Yeah. Expansion talks will be finalized in 2026, whether they're going to be expanding and to the amount of teams that they're going to be expanding to. Reasonably, there's only two cities in my mind that pique immediate interests. I think you can already guess those, but do you think the NBA will expand soon?
I do think so. And thinking about it, I saw a comment about just how much talent is available in the NBA just as a free agent. I do think there is something to how well rosters are built now, to where there are some guys that just need a chance in the NBA. And I think on a new team could really help develop those roles and kind of showcase that.
I completely agree. I think that's a great point. Because playing in the NBA, I do think allows you to get better. And also other teams get to see you. It's a lot easier. Okay, maybe that player is good. But if you're playing in the G League, you don't know how good that player is, even if they're doing well, because it's against G League talent. So I do agree. That's definitely something that would benefit. Now, a lot of people think Seattle would be the next team to go. They have the arena, obviously. They have the fan base. They have easily the name. But if we're going to be realistic, I think the first expansion team is going to be Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is realistic. Just kind of, that would be the final team. Now, it is interesting because you do have the Edelson family who's familiar with Vegas and they own the Mavericks. That's where the whole conspiracy theories come from. But Vegas is definitely going to be talked about. I will throw out another one. I'm going to go St. Louis.
Okay. I think St. Louis is an interesting spot.
They have a basketball arena that is kind of where you could put yourself in the market. You have baseball, you have hockey, but throwing in the NBA could really help take advantage of a market that wouldn't have to compete in the NFL in that city. Yes, you do have the Kansas City Chiefs, but you could have a lot of fans go to that market because that would be the only really main event during the fall. Yes, you do have the Blues, but I think that would be a fun competition. And I'm curious how the NBA expansion team, you could, like Jason Tatum, of course, is from St. Louis. I don't think he'd go to that St. Louis expansion team, but there's talent that can be grown there and kind of build something because you don't have a lot of Midwest teams in the NBA.
That's true. And Midwest basketball is kind of what's known, especially in college. I think Midwest is where a lot of good players come from. I know Beal's also from St. Louis, and there's a lot of good players from that area. I still think that the most likely to, because eventually if you add 31, you got to add 32, in my opinion. I think that's like a reasonable, you do one, you do the other sort of situation. I think it would be Seattle. And I just think you'd move Memphis to the East. Memphis is an extremely Eastern team to be in the Western Conference. And we've seen this in other sports. In hockey, Detroit used to be in the Western Conference, but now they're in the East. And that's happened before in a couple other instances in hockey. But I think the most realistic thing is moving Memphis. I think you'd keep Memphis in the West when you added Vegas. But then when you added Seattle and you wouldn't move a team to Seattle. You just create a new team, and they would take the history of the Supersonics. When you moved or had a team in Seattle, then you would move Memphis to the east, and it'd be a lot easier for travel because the Grizzlies have a tough traveling schedule, especially in the playoffs. That a lot of other organizations don't really have to factor in unless they're playing the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I do think it would be right to shake up kind of the West and East so you get the right cities, because Seattle would be huge. I don't want to get my hopes up for Seattle, and I think it'd be tough to get their history back. I don't know if OKC, if kind of that debate, but it should go back to Seattle gets that history and they have a new team.
Well, it's happened in other leagues, so I'd be kind of shocked if they didn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think it would be really fun, and it'd be great to have basketball in Seattle again, and it would make it a 4-sport town. Same thing with Vegas. Eventually, with Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas doesn't have baseball yet, but it will.
Yeah, it will. Seattle would, because they have hockey now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it'd be really fun to have an expansion team return to Seattle. And I'm curious how an expansion team would go. It would also dilute some of the great teams, I think, in the NBA, so that could help with parity, along with just how tough the West is. You could have a lot of key players come from the West because of just how deep those rosters are.
Yeah. Yeah, the depth of some of these rosters is insane. And the depth of just the G League rosters is pretty crazy too.
Yeah, and it would make fun for college sports because you have a lot of guys going undrafted, and it would really help with kind of keeping a lot of the college players involved in the NBA, the most noticeable basketball sport in America, because college basketball is huge during March Madness. And there are some guys, the joke is they're going to go sell insurance. What if they were drafted or signed by a lot of the teams as the NBA continues to grow?
True, but there's also going to be a draft for those teams based on already proven NBA guys, right? Where you probably protect 6 guys, maybe just 5 guys. It probably would be 5. You protect 5 guys, and then the rest are, or maybe 6 because of young guys as well, or maybe 5, but rookies are auto protected or something like that. But there would definitely be a draft for those people or those teams that are being introduced into the league.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking in a few years too, just kind of once they're established, you could see what happens. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.